that don't want what we know out there.
How a person can go from really almost nothing to becoming a millionaire by owning rental properties.
He would always buy these flip houses, and I just remember thinking, this guy is crazy. Why would he buy that house?
In the past decade, there's been a huge surge in the peer-to-peer short-term rental market.
Become an insider. So you have to know the rules before you get in the game.
Every second counts. So make every second count.
Welcome to the Real Estate Jam. Whether you're just beginning or the best of the best, we're glad you're here. We will share successes, failures, and strategies for the action-taking real estate investor. And now to your hosts, JD and Melissa.
Hi guys, welcome to the Real Estate Jam podcast.
Hello.
I'm JD.
I'm Melissa.
With my wonderful co-host
JD.
So today we're going to just kind of give you a rundown of the next deal that we're working on and some of the problems that we ran into and what some of those solutions were. We got this lead.
Where'd you get it from?
It came in through our Facebook ads, which we started about 6 months ago or so. We do about a $600 a month ad spend. And we get quite a few leads. Some of them are good leads. A lot of them are not good leads. A lot of them are realtors looking to sell their property that's overpriced. A lot of them are people who want too much for their property, or it's already listed and they're trying to get a cash offer because they don't want to take the time that it would take on the MLS. So we got to sift through a lot of that. This one specifically, this had hit on our probate list multiple months back. So it was already in our system. We've tried calling, we tried mailing, didn't get them. And then we got the Facebook ad came in. We have it set up automated, so it'll come to my email and I can call them directly. Called them, didn't get a hold of them. And then gave it to our virtual assistants who cold called multiple times a day for a few days in a row, and finally got a hold of the person and then set up a time for me to have a conversation with them.
How long ago was that?
I guess
Just so you can share.
It was probably 2 months ago when we first got in contact with them, because we had it under contract for a month before we switched the contract. But so we got it under contract. At first, doing the deep dive with the conversation, she just wanted to sell the property, knew that it needed some work, and wanted to move. And that was really the only hints of motivation that we had, was condition of the house and that she wanted to move.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went and viewed the house, I saw that it was pretty dirty.
Pretty nice.
It was a good house. It was a 1998 built house. It had just had a new roof, had just had the septic pumped, had just got a new AC in 2020, the same time it got the new roof. But it was pretty dirty. And so after we went, we ran the comps, and there were some comps, but all of them were pretty old comps, like almost on a year, that put the ARV at about 270, but there was no really good similar properties.
Because it was on a half acre too.
Yeah, on a half acre
With
lot.
goats, little goats.
Goats and geese,
Yeah.
and dogs and kids. Yeah, it was really good. So we ended up running the numbers. We came up with an ARV of around 270. And when I initially pulled the numbers, I came up with an ARV of 280. But then after doing some better research, I pushed that down to 270 because I can see the market's kind of declining over there in that neighborhood. We did the walkthrough and said, hey, it's probably going to take like $50,000 to do the rehab on this property. We ended up putting it under contract at 160. And then we decided, because of where it's at in relative to our location, that we were going to try to wholesale it.
So it's Pensacola.
Yeah, in Pensacola. So we started marketing it, trying to get it wholesaled. We had a couple of people that were interested, but getting the showings was extremely difficult because she had kids and dogs and goats. So we did one showing. That investor, after he saw it, said, "There's no way. I got the rehab at higher than what you guys are saying, and it's too big of a project for me." So at that point, I went back in and repulled the comps, and the sold comps were still giving us that right around 270 value. But a lot of the newer comps that were coming onto market and a lot that were similar condition were showing that we probably had it locked up for too much. And so I debated on how to do it. And I even, had multiple conversations with Melissa, like, "Hey, what do you think we can do with this?" I know we could still make money at the price that we had it, but if anything went wrong, and there was a good chance that it would, we would be in a bad situation. So after many debates and discussions, we decided that we had to have a price reduction, which I hate.
JD hates it. And to me, it's just part of the whole process because it's just like in retail, there's price reductions, price negotiations. Once you get into it, when we first saw it, we didn't know the extent that we needed. And as we priced things out, it did come in higher,
Yeah.
than our initial was. We looked at it, and based on the information they gave us, we came up with that figure based on the AC, the roof, So, I mean, I don't think that that's anything that you should feel bad about, although I know you do.
Yeah, I do. I hate renegotiating, and it's fine if you frame the conversation the right way. If there's negotiation back and forth, and I have to come off of the number that I want up to a certain number, and I say, "Hey, I don't know if I can do this or not, but here's the price." Well, that's not how this conversation was framed, because we really believe there was the right number going into it. And so I just had the phone call and said, "Hey, listen, here are the facts, X, Y, and Z, and this is the reason why we need the price reduction." So we were actually able to get the price reduced. And in the meantime,
They were mad,
they were super mad.
so mad.
But the reason that they were mad, which I didn't know, and I could have been doing not as good a job on the rapport building and lead management side, is that in between when we went under contract and when I came back to them for the renegotiation, they had also been given a les pendants on the property. So it was an inherited property. They hadn't been paying the mortgage that the father had owned. And this put a lot of extra pressure. And then we found out that the homeowner was pregnant. And so she was worried about that. And there was just a lot of problems going into it. And really the solution was they needed the money from the sale of this house. So we made the decision that instead of continuing to wholesale it like we were, that we would take it down and then resell it. And that's for a couple of different reasons. One, I found out that the les pendants had been filed, so that's only a matter of days before that property will hit the circulation of all the other investors who are pulling pre-foreclosure data, and they'll start getting all the calls on that property again from the pre-foreclosure data. Because it puts them back at the top of the list, and they're in a situation that they needed to sell. So by renegotiating it and making the decision to close the property instead of letting all the other competitors or people who didn't have it come in and undercut or make higher offers, or that, we decided to close on it.
That was smart.
So we closed on it Friday and had a showing on Saturday. We had 4 people scheduled to the showing. 2 people no-showed. 1 person showed up, but showed up 20 minutes late. And then another person said, "Oh, hey, I completely forgot about it. Will you still be there? It'll take me 50 minutes to get there."
50, 50, 50,
50.
not 15.
No, 50. So I went and ate lunch, came back, let him walk through the house. He did a quick inspection, taking video and pictures, checked a couple of things. That was it, left. And the next day, he had an offer for us and we went under contract. So,
And it's crazy because JD was supposed to take me to the movies. And so if we wouldn't have blown off the movies and him not stay, we wouldn't be under contract today.
that's
right?
true. But the only reason we decided to do that is because there's obviously an extra movie time slot that we were able to work into. So I guess the main points are, don't be afraid of renegotiation. If you don't set out with the goal, I think it's super underhanded. I think it's a very deceitful tactic, and there's so much so many problems with integrity in our industry that people who go out with the intention of putting a property under contract only to renegotiate later give a bad name to everybody who's doing this. 2, if you have to renegotiate, you have to renegotiate. And you got to remember that we should be providing solutions, but we should never be taking somebody else's problem and making it our own. Meaning, I understand that those people had a problem and they needed money to get out of the jam. But I shouldn't, as a business owner, take a loss on a property because I want to help them out. Now, there's times for charity and there's times for donations. I'm not saying anything against that. But when we're talking about our business, we have to make the best financial decisions for our business, for our family, for our kids. And we can't bail somebody out of a problem to our own detriment.
And we've done that.
We have done that.
So,
And so really making sure that you run your numbers correctly, you communicate often. That's another learning mistake, as I didn't communicate with the seller as much as she needed, and that could have probably avoided some of the hostility. It ended up being fine. They're happy, we're happy. But there was some pretty rough couple of days in there when we were going back and forth on that situation. And at the end of the day, this is just one deal. And if you renegotiate one deal out of the last 6 years, then that's okay. But if you're renegotiating every single deal, every single time, you need to figure out what you're doing wrong and fix it.
and communicate. I think communicating is just like the number one thing that helps keep deals together.
Yeah.
So,
What are the other lessons learned that you saw during this one?
just the communication part and just making sure we're getting good numbers on it, regardless of if they tell us that the roof's new and newer and, just recognizing what really needs to be done at the property.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. And another issue that we ran into, because Melissa's an old pro at this, she knocked it out real quick. When we ran the title search, there was an open permit. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so there was an open permit from when they did the roof. So, we've run into that so many times. So luckily it was still a roofer that was in business, because sometimes you'll have roofers that are long gone, and they helped me quickly take care of the problem. So that was great.
Yeah. So what has to happen when?
So we have to get the roofer to close the permit, and then they help me by reaching out to the county to make sure that's taken care of. And because we had a quick close once we decided to do it, we had just found out, I don't know why it took so long for us to find out about the open permit. We just found out about 2 days before we were closing. So, and luckily it was a great roofer and they took care of it right away, and they got the email and the closed permit over to the county. So that was great.
Yeah, that was really good. We've had a lot of issues where homeowners pull their own permits and they're the only ones that can close them out. We've had issues like Melissa said, where roofers pull permits and then don't do the job and then leave town. And those are a little bit harder to deal with. But all in all, it's going to be a pretty good deal, just a base hit, but it'll keep the lights on.
For sure. I'll take base hits all day long.
Yeah, we could use about 10 of them a month. All right, guys. Hey, if you get any value from this podcast, make sure you share it with your friends and family, and give us a 5-star review if you like what you hear.
Call us too. We're here to help.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Jam. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information, check out our website, therealestatejam.com, or find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Real Estate Jam. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email at therealestatejam@gmail.com. See you next episode.